What's up, TM Nation? Today we're diving into the brand new second generation Bose QuietComfort Ultra earbuds, and I've been using these for just about everything over the past couple of weeks. I know some of you all out there are probably thinking, didn't the first generation come out less than 2 years ago? And to be honest, that short time frame between premium releases like this pair of earbuds has a lot of folks on the fence about upgrading or picking a pair up, especially since the first generation pairs are likely gonna drop in price with this new pair coming out. But stick with me, guys, because there are some key differences between the first generation and the second generation that might be important to you, and I am gonna break those down in this video so you know which pair is worth your hard-earned cash. Box-wise, the packaging is virtually identical to the first generation. You get the same premium presentation and same accessories, which include your earbuds, the charging case, 3 sizes of silicone ear tips, and the usual documentation. The case still has that substantial feel in the hands, but now one thing that it has is wireless charging, which honestly should have been there from day one given how much these earbuds cost, but it is a welcome feature with the second generation pair nonetheless. Now looking at the earbuds themselves, they look almost identical to the first generation. As you can see, they have the same large bulb design that protrudes from your ear, the same capacitive touch surfaces on the back, and that distinctive ovoid nozzle with the stability fin. But one physical difference between the two generations that you're gonna get with the newer pair is the added wax guard. Now I know that this feature may sound minor, but if you wear earbuds pretty much every day, you know how easily wax can build up in them and how that impacts your listening experience. So although this is a small change, it's gonna make your maintenance with these earbuds a lot easier. Now moving on to the real differences between these earbuds, the biggest upgrade, and I mean the biggest, is gonna be the call quality. The first generation QC earbuds had pretty mediocre microphone performance, especially in noisier environments. The second generation pair are the only Bose product right now to feature their new Bose SpeechClarity technology that is aimed at keying in on your voice and enhancing it even in noisier environments. In other words, when you're using the second generation for voice calls, your voice should come through cleaner, background noises should get filtered out better, and overall you shouldn't get that underwater sound that can happen with the first generation. But as always, I did take samples. Let's check them out. Alright guys, so right now I have the first generation Ultras paired to my iPhone 16 Pro, and as you can see, the audio that you're hearing is coming from the microphones on them. Right now the room is relatively quiet, but I will do my background noise test. Give me a second. So now I have some simulated background noise playing in the background using the first generation Ultras, and this part of the test is aimed at seeing how well the microphones on these earbuds can go ahead and focus on my speech while rejecting some of that noise. So let me know what you guys think. How are they doing? Now I have the second generation Ultras paired to my iPhone 16 Pro, and as you can see, the audio that you're hearing is coming from the microphones on them, and this is the quiet room test. I will switch over and do the background noise test. Give me a second. And now I have the simulated background noise playing in the background using the second generation Ultras. So let me know what you guys think. Are these doing a better job at focusing on my speech than the first generation pair, or do you hear it differently? Let me know. The active noise cancellation performance is where things get a little bit more nuanced. In terms of raw noise blocking power, we're looking essentially at the same performance. Both generations are going to reduce outside noise by about 85%, which is still flagship level, but the Gen 2 pair has this improved active sense feature. What this means is when you're in transparency mode and sudden loud noises hit, like a train passing by or a siren, the transition between noise cancellation levels is much smoother. I took these to the gun range with me over the weekend, and the noise cancellation kicked in each time a shot went off and switched back to transparency in between pretty much flawlessly. There is also a noticeable difference between the Gen 1 and Gen 2 earbuds in the quiet settings. Specifically, I've noticed that the background noise created by the noise cancellation system has been reduced with the Gen 2 version, which allows the finer details of your music to be heard in situations where there are pauses or near silent sections. Comfort-wise, the fit is going to be identical with both pairs, so if you have the first generation and they feel great, the second generation should feel just as good in your ears. The stability fins do their job well for workouts. I've never had them slide around excessively or completely fall out of my ears during any activity. But one area where these earbuds are still not the greatest is gonna be in the battery life. So far, I'm getting about 5 hours and 35 minutes of playback time with ANC on and some occasional spatial audio, which is slightly less than what I average on a charge with the first generation pair. This may be something that a firmware update helps out a bit in the future, and 5+ hours at a time out of the case is probably more than most people will ever need, but I personally was expecting to see at least 6.5 to 7 hours on a charge using ANC and spatial audio. It's also worth noting though that the second generation does feature fast charging like the first generation that will give you about 2 hours worth of use from only a 10-minute charge if you're ever in a crunch. The sound quality is where Bose stays true to their signature. We're looking at that same V-shaped tuning, but with the Gen 2 version, you're gonna notice more of an emphasis on the bass and treble. So if you're somebody that likes to listen to a lot of bass heavy genres, you're gonna love those pretty much out of the box. But if you prefer a more neutral sound signature, you'll want to take some time and dive into the 3-band EQ inside of the Bose app, which is gonna offer pretty much the same experience between the Gen 1 and Gen 2 earbuds. With both pairs, you have your EQ settings, you have your immersive audio settings, you have your ANC and transparency settings too, and finally you get the ability to create different noise canceling presets if you'd like. Now from a technical standpoint, both generations are running Bluetooth 5.3 with multi-point connectivity, so you can connect 2 devices simultaneously. They both support SBC and AAC codecs, plus Snapdragon sound for aptX lossless if you own a compatible Android device with a Qualcomm chip. Another small but appreciated feature that you have inside of the app with the second generation is the ability to disable touch controls, which is not something that you could do inside of the app with the first generation. And if you're somebody that accidentally triggers controls when you're adjusting your hat, your glasses, or even the earbuds while they're in your ears, I definitely think that you'll see value in this addition. Now circling back to the sound quality for a moment, I do want to say that if you loved how the first generation sounded, you're still gonna love how the second generation sounds as well. So likewise, if you didn't like the way that the first generation sounded, the second generation is not gonna change your mind, because like I said, with both pairs, you're still gonna get that same laid back, smooth sound signature that Bose is known for, but the bass with the second generation is gonna be slightly more present and a little bit more sparkle with the treble without any of those frequencies being overwhelming. It's more of a crowd-pleasing tuning that I think most people are going to enjoy, but if you want to shape the EQ to your liking, you can adjust it inside of the app. Alright, so now let me go ahead and break down some of the pros and cons. On the positive side, we've got that industry-leading noise cancellation that Bose is famous for, significantly improved call quality, the addition of wireless charging, better wax protection, and the ability to disable touch controls inside of the app. Outside of those features, the build quality remains excellent and the overall user experience is polished. For the potential cons, like I said earlier, right now I'm averaging slightly less battery life on a charge with the earbuds on the second generation than what I get with the first generation. The design is still quite bulky compared to competitors, and honestly, to a lot of folks that have tried the first generation, the second generation can tend to feel more like a firmware update than a true second generation product. So here's my final verdict on the QuietComfort Ultra Earbuds Generation 2. These are good earbuds that just got slightly better. So if you're a Bose fan who values that signature sound and best-in-class noise cancellation, and you don't already own the first generation, these are worth considering. And in fact, the improved call quality alone might justify the purchase for business users or people who rely on their earbuds for voice calls. However, if you're looking for the most bang for your buck, or if you prioritize sound quality above all else, the first generation pair are still a great value and will likely be heavily discounted as the word about the newer pair starts to catch traction. So there you have it, guys. That's my take on the Bose QuietComfort Ultra Generation 2 earbuds. So let me know what you guys think. If you own the first generation, are you looking at upgrading? Or if this is going to be your first pair of Bose, are you going to go for the newer pair or go for the older pair that are likely gonna go on sale? But other than that, as always, I appreciate you guys coming through and hanging out with me for a while. I will catch y'all in the next video, but until then, it's your boy Tech Mo and I'm signing out. Peace.